Hi, today we are making a high protein pasta salad. This is a meal that you can take to lunch on the go. It doesn't have to be reheated, although it'll be great if you do. And I'm making 3 servings. You can scale this up or down depending on your needs. I'll also be using some kind of convenience frozen mixed vegetable things, but you can swap that out for anything you need. I'll tell you more about it as I'm going along. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and here at The Plant Plan, we eat well for our health goals. May that be just general health, longevity, or may that be body composition goals, right? Like muscle gain or fat loss. This is a great meal for those things. It's high in protein, high in fiber, high in nutrients because we're adding a lot of greens and vegetables and all of that. And it's also a convenient meal. You'll see how simple it is to put together. There's one element that's going to be a little bit more complicated, but you can swap that out for something that's way simpler. Okay, so with that said, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm doing is I am boiling my pasta. What kind of pasta am I using? I'm using a high protein pasta. There are many of these types of things on the markets these days. This happens to be the one that I'm using. I am actually, a lot of times with these high protein pastas, you'll see the nutrition facts. Let me cover myself so it can focus. You'll see the nutrition facts have 2 columns. One if you are having a smaller serving, and the other if you're having a larger serving. And obviously, depending on how much you have, that will determine how much protein is in each serving, right? So I'm going to use the larger serving because I like to eat. Hello. And so the larger serving is for 100 grams or 3.5 ounces. And that's going to yield me 17 grams of protein, right? So I'm going to make 3 servings. So this right here, I've already measured it out, is 100 grams. Now, if you are not someone who is measuring your food and this and that, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. However, if you're someone who is wanting to see how many grams of protein you're eating, or if you have a goal specific to that, that's something that I think you should do. And that's what I've done here. So I'm going to put this to boil. This takes about 7 to 9 minutes. I'm going to go on the lower end because it's going to, keep cooking a little bit afterward. And I like it a little al dente. So I'll probably go like 7-8 minutes. So let me put this to boil. And I have a wooden spoon because when I use plastic, there's people out here that's like, oh, you're eating plastic. We all are. But this is for you. This is for you. As you can see, I've put the wooden spoon on top of the thing. Apparently that helps with foaming and overflow. So we're gonna do that. Okay, so the second thing I'm doing is I'm making a tofu feta type thing, a marinated tofu. Let's call it a marinated tofu. It's not feta, right? Okay. So I have a glass jar. I mean, honestly, I could have just used this plastic one, but y'all and your plastic. Okay, so I understand. I 1000% understand. So, it's just the comments that are like, plastic. I'm like, we get it, bro. Anyway, so I'm just using this because I'm going to be marinating it. I'm going to put it away after I make it, right? So obviously you can prepare this well ahead of time, but because it's a pasta salad that I'm prepping for later, it's totally fine. But if you're preparing it to eat now, obviously you want to make this part ahead of time. Now, this is the element that I was speaking of earlier that is a little bit more complicated than the rest of the meal. It's very simple, but there are, a couple of ingredients here. You can swap this out with another type of protein. It doesn't matter. I'm using a high protein tofu or an extra firm tofu, actually not the high protein. If you use the Trader Joe's high protein, there's another brand that does kind of the same level of protein. It'll be a more dense protein that you might not have to press and dry and drain and all of that sort of stuff. This is one of the regular ones, so I drained it and pressed it already. So these cubes are pretty dry already. Okay, you want to do that because when you're marinating it, you want it to be able to absorb all of the flavor that you're putting in it. If you're putting in like really wet, soggy tofu in this, you know, or like soft tofu, things like that, it's not going to work. So you want the firmest tofu you can find, or you know, something medium firm maybe, and then, you know, chop it up into whatever sizes you want and dry and drain it if needed. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so as far as marinating your tofu for a pasta salad, go with whatever flavors you want, right? So I'm going to show you a couple of options here. This here would be a smart option. It's just like a Italian style, what's it called? Yeah, it's like an Italian style dairy-free dressing. It could be as simple as, pour this in, you know, maybe a little bit more water, vinegar, what have you. I don't know if you want to like split it up a little bit, and then marinate it and call it a day. That is the simplest way to do this. I am going to be a little bit fancier, honestly, because I'm on camera, you know. Okay, so we're using apple cider vinegar. I would normally have Bragg's, but this was like pennies. So I'm going to use whatever is left here. It's maybe a fourth cup, right? By the way, I'm using a full block of tofu. Okay, and I'm going to use maybe an equal amount of this, this is a cold pressed extra virgin olive oil. If you are using olive oil as a dressing or something like that, I would always use like cold pressed extra virgin olive oil, not the ones with a clear thing, like something with a, you know, so that the light isn't getting into it, for reasons. Okay, so the great thing about using a mason jar, or these types of jars, is that they have the measurement lines here, right? So you can kind of go by that. For me, I'm not really being that exact with it. If you want to measure, go ahead and measure. I don't think it's necessary because you're not going to be using the entire dressing in this pasta salad. Or you can, actually, you can. So another thing I should say, I should go one item at a time, but whatever, we're sitting here chatting. This that I'm using already has dressing in it, so I won't be using the rest of this dressing after I take out the tofu and serve. I'll probably be using that at another time for maybe just a regular like green salad or something like that, but not today. So I'm not too concerned with the wild amounts I'm about to pour in. Okay, so I think I'll pour in probably, it's a lot. I mean, it may have been, you know, a little bit less than a fourth cup. I don't honestly know. Okay, now we're putting in our flavorings, right? So I'm gonna put some nutritional yeast. So nutritional yeast, for those who are not fortunate enough to know, it has a lot of B vitamins in it. It tastes kind of cheesy, kind of nutty. It's like a nutty, cheesy type flavor. And by cheese, I mean more of like a box cheddar cheese kind of thing. I think they do use this in that. Yeah, it's just nutty, it's savory, try it. I don't know, I can't really explain it very well, but try it. But it has a lot of vitamins in it. That's why they call it nutritional yeast, because it's got the nutritions in it. It's a really great source of B vitamins if you get the enriched nutritional yeast. So I would always recommend that. It has loads of B12 in it. So yeah, for plant-based eaters, that is great. Okay, so I put, you know, maybe a tablespoon, a little bit more than a tablespoon in there. I'm not the best measurer, I'll be honest with you. I used to be, but then I started getting a little bit, it was just annoying. It was just annoying. The thing with measuring your food, especially if you are in a fat loss phase, or you know, a phase in your health journey where you are planning your meals very meticulously, that's wonderful, that's great. I'll have another video on that, because it, depending on the type of person you are, you know, or your history with how you're eating and things like that, you want to be very careful if that's something that you're choosing to do, and perhaps maybe you should choose not to do it. So the next thing I'm adding is Italian seasoning. By the way, I'm chit-chatting. I'll definitely have everything I'm putting in the comments, all right, or in the description, so don't worry too much. So I'm using Italian seasoning just because it has a whole bunch of stuff in there. And I don't have to like teaspoon of this, teaspoon of that, teaspoon, you know what I mean? So I've used, ain't no way 8 minutes have passed. Ain't no way. Alrighty. Okay, I'm gonna stir this a little bit. And you know what? Ain't nobody got time, so I'm just gonna put it on super low and hope for the best. And speed up. Okay. So use a teaspoon of that. Maybe I should use a little bit more, but we'll see. Garlic, about that much. That seems fine. And I like things a little bit spicy. I could just add this afterward, but this feels like a good time to add it, you know. And some black pepper, because always black pepper, always. What was that, 5, 6 cracks? I don't know, whatever. Also, with this type of marinade, folks would normally add salt. This that I'm using also has a lot of salt in it. So what I'm going to be using, just to kind of add some flavor and also a little bit of nutrition, I'm using this 0 sodium salt. It is basically potassium, which we need anyway, and is good for us. It also helps if you have like blood pressure issues or you know, things like that. So that can kind of, it helps balance out the sodium. Okay, so I don't know if that's enough liquid, but we will find out. Actually, it should be. It certainly should be. I wish I brought my funnel over here, but I'm connected to this wire mic, so we're gonna gently, oh, they're all stuck together now. Okay, so as you can see, I kind of made really small cubes, like bite-sized cubes. Normally when I'm cutting up tofu for my consumption, it's usually bigger cubes. But for this, I'm kind of trying to mimic a, you know, feta-esque type thing. You can see the texture as well is kind of spongy. Let me try to show you the texture a little bit. It's a little bit, you know, it's not feta, but it's hitting the same notes. You know what I mean? It's a different song hitting the same notes. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I think a lot of times people are like, vegans just eat fake this and that and stuff. And it's like, okay, and like, I mean, it's real to me. Like, and the point is, I'm choosing to not eat the other version, right? But I'm not choosing to, you know, get rid of all of the flavors and textures that I grew up with. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that I don't know. I think a lot of people think that vegans should, you know, if they don't want to eat meat, then they should not like it. And those are two different things. Not wanting to participate in something, but also still liking it is, I mean, I don't know if liking it is even the right word, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to participate in the cruelty to animals. I don't want to participate in factory farming. I don't want to, you know, find better options of those things. And at the end of the day, I'm the type of person that thinks of myself in a cage. I think of myself being bred for the use of others and for the consumption of others. And that just gives me like ancestral flashbacks, and I just don't want to participate in that. I'm not saying anyone else should feel that way. I'm not saying anyone else should do that. But I'm not saying, oh, I don't like ribs anymore or something. You know what I mean? Like, they were delicious when I had them. Now I'm thinking about them in a different way, and I'm choosing to not partake in that. To me, it's as simple as that, but you know, folks are sensitive. Anyway, I mean, so am I guess. That's why I'm avoiding them. Okay, so, oh yeah, see, that was plenty of liquid actually. That was plenty of liquid. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of gently shaking it up. It's firm tofu, so it shouldn't really break apart too much, but even still, that would be fine. It can create some of that texture that we know and love from feta. So this can stay in your fridge, I would say at least, you know, I mean, you've marinated stuff before, you know how long to marinate things, but you know, at least a couple of hours or something like that. This is going to be in my fridge until I'm ready to serve my pasta. Okay, a note on this. This contains, I mentioned it in the last video, my grocery haul video, but this is, let's see, seasoned Mediterranean style vegetables, zucchini, broccoli, mushrooms, onions, different colored bell peppers, olives, and then a Mediterranean style sauce. You can buy all of those things and just make it yourself. In fact, I was intending on doing so. I was gonna get, well, I have bell peppers and I had tomatoes, you know, I have zucchini. It doesn't matter what vegetables, just the vegetables that you want. I think this combination is really sweet, and that's what I'm gonna do. I also had mushrooms too. So that's what I would have used, just a small carton of mushrooms, 1 or 2 bell peppers, and zucchini, call it a day. Now this bag indicates that it should be cooked. Honestly, I let it thaw and I was gonna drop it in the bowl that I'm gonna mix everything in, but it says it should be cooked. Can't imagine why, but I'm gonna trust the bag because ain't nobody want food poisoning or blah, 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 right? So I'm gonna cut this open. Oh shoot. I intended to use this to cut the spinach to make it smaller, but okay. So I have a pan going here, so I'm going to toss it in the pan, you know, do pan stuff for maybe 2-3 minutes. How much does it say actually? 8 minutes. Oh, this is cooked from frozen though. Follow your package instructions. Don't do what I'm doing up in here. But of course, if you're using fresh vegetables, you can prepare them as you like, or you can just have them raw in your salad. That's not the type of texture that I would want. But you know, if they're small enough pieces, I mean, I would at least cook the zucchini and the mushrooms, like grill it or throw it in the air fryer or something like that, right? 5-10 minutes. Okay, let's put this in a pan. Okay, so this is about, I would say like 125 grams of spinach. I think this is just regular spinach. I don't know if it's baby spinach, regular spinach. In any case, it's not chopped up. So am I gonna chop it up? No, I'm gonna show you the lazy way. I'm gonna show you the easy way. If you don't have kitchen shears, what are you doing? I normally, for opening bags, I normally have another pair of scissors kind of over here just outside the screen. This is usually what I use for food, but for some reason on the screen, on camera, I just use the other one, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay. And it doesn't need to be super chopped up. It's going to wilt anyway. I just don't want long, stringy pieces of spinach in my pasta salad. So all of our stuff is ready. I think instead of mixing everything in here in this plastic bowl, I think I'm gonna mix it up in the pan and then maybe let it cool in the pan and then put it away in this. So let's see if that works. Okay, we have a little trivet situation here. Okay, so I'm gonna put this in here so it can wilt a little bit. And then, so I've drained my pasta. All right, so look, veggies, greens, pasta. There's a little bit of bits and bobs in here at the bottom. So, I mean, this is doing nothing for me, but okay. And then we just mix it through. How simple is that? How simple, right? It already has the dressing in there. So that's why I keep saying, like, if you can find little hack items like that, like mixed veggies with, you know, stuff already in it. I mean, meal prep to the max. And this is 3 servings. And remember, the tofu is not in here yet. But what I do know is that this is around 30 to 35 grams of protein. So, and like so much fiber. Let's actually double check. So the pasta alone will give you 10 grams of fiber, which for many Americans and folks in the West, that's like their daily. It's like crazy. But yeah, so each serving of this is at least 10 grams of fiber with the extra vegetables in there, with the tofu, easily somewhere between 15 and 20, right? I mean, probably like 15, 17, something like that. I would assume. That's a lot of fiber for a lot of us, so drink your water, right? You know, if you're used to eating one way for decades, right, and then you switch over to something else, or you have a day where you just have a wild amount of fiber, your body's not used to processing all of that, right? So you want to do things that are going to be helpful for you, right? You know, like reduce your sodium, because, you know, you're going to be a little bloated perhaps. So you want to kind of reduce all the other things that might make you bloat up and retain water and stuff like that. You want to drink a lot of water, drink a lot of fluids, and titrate up, right? If you're starting at like 3 grams of fiber per meal, 4 grams of fiber per meal, bump that up to 5, 6, 7 before you get into 15, 20, right? So in any case, I think most of us, if we're eating a lot of vegetables in our diet already, this should not be an issue, but you know, I want to speak to those who this may be an issue. Okay, this is not going to cool down for a while, so I'm not going to kind of show you how I pack and store it, but here is what the finished product is looking like. I don't know, zoom in, this is kind of heavy, so yeah, it's as simple as that. I would, if I had time and energy, throw more tomatoes in there. I'm a tomato lover. I am a Jersey girl through and through. Another thing I would do is maybe, actually, no, this is not my alarm interrupting me. How rude. Anyway, this is exactly what I would just normally do on any given day. After this cools down, I'll pack it into this large container. I have a lid for it, and it goes in the fridge. I know that there's 3 servings in there. I don't have to measure it out exactly so that each one is an equal amount. And that's it, y'all. It's as simple as that. Meal prepping, meal planning, you know, all of this sort of stuff, it doesn't have to be super complicated to be delicious, nutritious, and full of vegetables, full of fiber, full of protein. Let's get after our goals, y'all. We can do this. All right, and that's it. That's what I'm having for lunch for the next 3 days. Yeah, if you like what you've seen here, drop a comment down below. Tell me how you would make this. What kind of vegetables would you include? Did I leave something out that would be super delicious and yummy? I probably did. You probably know. What version of this would you make? Or have you made different types of pasta salad before? Tell me how you make them. And also, if you want to see more recipes, drop a comment down below and tell me what kind of recipes you would like me to do. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, to-go meals, etc., etc. I think I want to start practicing this more and more to kind of show you the types of meals that I'm eating. But in any case, until then, talk to you soon. Bye.